guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Basic Teen TV. Here we are. My name's Melissa.
I'm Victoria.
I'm Cindy.
All right, guys. We are in the final stretch of season 3. All right. So the first one.
Well, I just want to say that I'm so excited that I decided to give a little nod to Andy.
Yes.
And her beautiful eye makeup in this episode that we're about to discuss at prom.
Yes.
She shows up looking like a pastel clown. And so I decided to pay homage to that and do my own interpretation. You can't see it right now, but I am rocking the look. I think I did a pretty good job.
Cindy is definitely rocking the look.
I'm straight out of 2000.
Like,
is that what we have, 37?
View it and
all right, well, we'll discuss.
And also, I'm going to make a link. We're going to put a link in there, and I'm going to make a video with step-by-step instructions on how you can also get this look for yourself.
Oh, do a makeup tutorial, please.
Yeah, you can get the look, the Andy look. We can bring this back. You're not doing anything else. It's a pandemic.
Right. All right, so episode 22 is called The Anti-Prom. So I thought it was really strange when this episode opens up. I mean, episode 21 was filled with such drama at the boat race regatta that I didn't think anyone was going to be friends in this episode. But Dawson and Joey, I was about to say Jawson. Dawson and Joey are all like buddy and like hanging out, hunky-dory, like nothing happened.
Well, she went up to his bedroom to watch E.T. like a bitch after all that shit went down. She just forgave him for everything, and then they watched E.T. after he screamed at her in a very abusive way. And then she's like, oh, all is forgiven, and I don't love Casey anymore. Let's watch E.T. But this is like the episode of broken hearts. There are a lot of broken hearts in this anti-prom episode.
Yeah. So
I mean, there's broken hearts for the next 2 episodes. That's what this whole thing is about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's about Joey and Pacey just stomping on everyone's hearts so that they can be together.
Stomping on everyone's hearts, including their own. So, apparently Dawson and Joey had made this pact that I guess if they didn't have dates or other boyfriends and girlfriends at the time, that they would go to junior prom together. So Dawson's trying to basically peer pressure Joey into still going with him. At least that's how I felt.
Yeah, he put her in a corner.
Yeah.
She didn't have anywhere to go. And he was like, hey, so remember we had this pact where we said we'd go to junior prom together, as if anyone gives a fuck about junior prom. If neither of us have gotten married or had babies yet, that was sort of the idea behind it. And she was like, okay, I'll go.
Dawson has kept her in a little cage this whole time. She belongs to him. He just wants to keep her in his back pocket. And then the minute she shows interest in someone else, he's like, how dare you, bitch? You belong to me. And now, and then he vocalizes it to her and she's like, oh, sorry. And then he's like, okay, well, let's go. Just go to prom together. And she's like, okay. She doesn't fucking want to go to prom with him.
And then on the other side, Andy and Pacey are having a study session. And Andy is kind of she just doesn't outright ask him. Well, she wants Pacey to ask her. So she kind of pretends that she has all these offers in the waitings. And then Jen pretends she's anti-prom when all she really wants is also for Henry to ask her to prom.
But everything she said in that monologue in the hallway,
oof.
I agreed with everything, and I was like, "That's right, that's my girl."
It was just too much. It was just too many. It was just too many words. I think.
I agreed with all the words. I think it was maybe a little too heavy considering that it's junior prom. I just think Jen is cool. That's all I'm saying. She's like a reformed slut, and she's got a lot to say.
Victoria's like rolling her eyes.
She could just lighten up a little bit and go with the flow.
Yeah, just lighten up.
Like,
I guess
you don't have to be anti everything. Like, and nobody cares what you think about prom. So just go to prom and shut the fuck up about it.
Well, and that's the other thing too. She does want to go to prom.
Or don't go. Or just don't.
You can boycott. And that's the thing. She wants to go, but she needs to like make it clear that she's like against it. But she also doesn't want to be left out. She's like FOMO about prom. But also like, I don't know, either go to prom or don't go to prom. Or guess what? Nobody fucking cares.
You could do what I did, which is I had the same feelings that Jen did, and I showed up to junior prom. We've talked about this on other podcasts. I found an 80s dress from a thrift store before the 80s were cool again, and I wore it to prom, and I made a spectacle, and I was a huge asshole. And I felt like it was a big success. And I went by myself. I didn't have a date. Who would want to go with me, first of all?
Well, I was the total opposite. I was your typical basic bitch in high school. I loved all of it. Enjoyed prom.
I was somewhere in the middle. Like I bought a modern prom dress, but it cost $30. I still have the dress. It's in my closet. I can see it right now.
Oh my God, please. Can you just pull it out? Is there a tag on it still? I need to know which department store you got this from. Like Macy's? JCPenney?
Like
Dillard's?
Probably JCPenney.
Dillard's?
Or like Leggett's or something. Dillard's, something like that.
I've never even heard of that one.
Oh, Leggett's is the same thing as Belk.
Oh, okay.
Can I ask a very important question?
Can I still fit into it? The answer is yes.
No, that wasn't. Yeah. Why the fuck is that in your closet in New York City in your adulthood?
Well, it has been incorporated into at least one, if not two, Halloween costumes.
Okay, that's very fitting.
Victoria also wanted to make it known that as a grown-ass woman, she can still fit into her high school prom dress.
I'm applauding.
I mean, I certainly cannot. I think I just have one of my prom dresses left, and I only kept it because it was my very first like formal dress. So, being the basic girl that I am, I was like, I loved it. And it was by a designer that was so popular when I was in high school. The designer was Jessica McClintock. Did y'all recognize that name? That label?
No, I thought McClintock was some painter that they used to sell on Home Shopping Network. They used to sell McClintock's work on Home Shopping Network at some point.
No, the dress designer was Jessica McClintock, and it was so, that was like the dresses that all of us girls talked about, like.
Yes, McClintock, that bitch.
You're gonna go get
Oh shit, Melissa showed up at the McClintock.
Are you gonna get a Jessica McClintock dress? It was maybe, I guess it might have been a Southern thing then, but like that designer's dresses were so popular and everyone wanted them, and so it was not only my first like formal dress, but it was my first like designer label type dress. So I have not had the heart to let it go. I certainly cannot fit into it. It is so tiny. But I can't yet.
I just love this designer's name and how everyone was probably like so jealous of you because you were wearing a Jessica McClintock.
No, that was kind of like the beauty of Jessica McClintock is like her dresses are so cute and pretty, but like affordable as far as like formal dresses go, Everyone was wearing it. It wasn't like
sounds affordable.
It
Jessica wasn't. I can't even say it. Jessica McClintock sounds very reasonably priced.
It wasn't like I was the only one wearing a Jessica McClintock. Like a good number of girls, I'm sure, were wearing Jessica McClintock dresses.
I feel like my prom dress would still hold up today. I would wear it again as like a real dress.
If I could fit into
I'd probably wear mine as a real dress because that's the style of like cocktail dresses that I wear anyway.
If I could still fit into my Jessica McClintock, I would totally wear it
so
today.
get a let out and wear that shit. let's have a prom for 40-year-olds.
Oh man, yeah, let's all get our vaccines and then have a prom for 40-year-olds. And if we don't wear our actual prom dresses, then we can get like a replica made somehow or find something similar.
Yeah.
Or it's just like a coronavirus. Like we all graduated from coronavirus. Now it's time to have our prom.
Yeah. That should be our first like official group outing, is when it's all safe. All get dressed up and do our coronavirus-free prom.
Yeah, we'll just go to some shitty bar all dressed up. And they're like, what are you dressed up for? And we're like, we have vaccines, motherfucker. What do you think we're dressed up for? Fuck you.
A special occasion, bitch. I'm wearing my finest Jessica McClintock for this occasion.
From like 1990, 2000, whatever.
1998.
My 98 Jessica McClintock.
It's so hard to say McClintock.
McClintock. Like I like spit all over my computer when I say it.
All right, let's get back to the show.
Okay, so back to Dawson Creek.
Back to Dawson's Creek.
I wonder if anybody there was wearing a Jessica McClintock. I'm gonna have to look this up, you know.
Yeah, me too. As soon as we're done,
look it up.
I'm gonna look this up.
Yeah, I don't even know if she's still making dresses. I don't know. So the whole idea of the anti-prom is because Jack tries to go buy tickets, and the theme of this Cape Side prom is lame as hell, called couples. I'm like, what? That's the whole. That is prom. Like you go with
That's a lame theme.
Yeah.
Basically, that theme is like. The theme is for couples, and if you're not a couple, then you're a fucking loser. Well, hey, guess what? Everybody who goes to prom already feels that way. So why are you making it a point? The theme should be like under the sea or
that's exactly what they. Did you say
forest breeze or
forest breeze?
I don't know, like just some fucking stupid shit.
Could you imagine a Forrest Gump themed prom?
Oh my gosh.
What would the decorations be? They'd just be like park benches and boxes of chocolates.
Yeah.
Like life is like a box of chocolates.
So anyways, Jack tries to buy his tickets, and the girl, Barbara Johns is her name, who's the one in charge of selling tickets, just like spews all this hateful, homophobic shit at Jack. It got me really pissed off, you know.
Well, yeah. I mean, the shit that came out of her mouth
is
unacceptable.
I mean, I would have even thought it would have been unacceptable back then to write dialogue like that.
They were trying to make a point, like this. I mean, she's definitely the villain of the episode. She's definitely a hateful bitch, and we're not supposed to like her.
Yeah,
that's clear. But I'm just like, wow.
And she's also really religious, and she brings that up a few times about like burning in hell.
Definite future Karen Trump supporter. Like she's that type of woman. She was like, I need the name of you and your date because the theme is couples. And he says his name, and then he's like, my date is Ethan so-and-so. And she was like, excuse me? And he's like, Ethan so-and-so. I forget Ethan's last name. And then she was like, a couple is a boy and a girl. It can't be two guys. What are you guys going to do? Like make out in front of everybody? Rub your stubbly faces against one another's?
She's like, why are you gonna make prom a spectacle and have everyone be so uncomfortable? Oh God, it was so. It sent me in a.
It was really bad.
Sent me in a rage.
So then, So then she's like, well, I have to talk to like Mrs. Whoever's and the teacher in charge of the prom committee about this, and then I'll get back to you. Like, she's a total Karen. Like, I have to talk to my manager.
Total Karen.
Like, just like won't sell him a ticket. I'm like, if you pulled that now, you would be expelled from school. It doesn't fly, bitch.
In true Dawson's Creek fashion, they don't address Barbara Johns. They present a social or a moral issue, and they create this bad guy. Because like you were just saying, like if that would have happened today, she would have been expelled. And no consequences. We didn't see any consequences on this Barbara Johns person in the end. I mean, I know it's not. I know that it wasn't supposed to be the point of the episode as a whole, but I would have liked to have seen something done to her. Like some sort of punishment for how she treated Jack, how she treated a fellow student. But no.
So it's part of the morality that existed 20 years ago when this episode aired, is that behavior is irritating to people who are a little more enlightened, but not unacceptable. So Jack and his friends are behind him, and that's where the anti-prom comes in. They're behind him, and that they don't like her behavior, but her behavior is socially acceptable, which sucks. And thankfully things aren't like that anymore. So we can just, like the discrimination that existed in every word that fell out of her fucking mouth was disgusting, and it just wouldn't fly now, and she would be expelled. But yeah, it wasn't like that then. It was only a irritant in the plot to drive things forward, to have an anti-prom, which they have at Dawson's parents' fish restaurant.
Yeah.
And a lot of people sign up for
great.
it, including some goth couple. And when they arrive at anti-prom, like they buy tickets and they arrive, and Dawson and his parents are like, take one look at this goth couple, and they're like, oh my god, like lock up the cash register.
Yes,
like,
I noticed that too, and I was like,
goth people are also like, shoplifters or kleptos or whatever. They're criminals because they're wearing like a lot of eyeliner.
So the whole.
But I want to make a point before we go further.
Yes.
About how much I fucking hate Dawson.
Okay.
And we've always hated Dawson, but I feel like the last 4 episodes, I've grown to hate him so much, he's almost unwatchable. Like, I can't stand whenever he comes on screen. So they're all sitting on the steps out front, and Jack's talking about how it's unfair that he was put in that position by, what's her face?
Barbara Johns.
By Barbara. And Joey was like, well, it's political now. And he was like, well, I don't want everything that I do to be political. I just want to fucking go to prom. So then they were all thinking about it, and they were like, well, you know what? I'm not going to go. If you can't go, I'm not going to go. And then Joey was like, I'm not going to go either. And it cuts to Dawson, and he has this look in his eyes. He's like, oh, fuck. She's not going to go? I thought we were going together. And then he's like, well, you know what? I have an idea. And the idea is to have an anti-prom. Fuck this place and fuck this school. We're going to have an anti-prom at my mom's fish shack or whatever. And I wrote down, this is repulsive. It's fucking repulsive and disgusting that he didn't even care about Jack or what Jack was going through. He only did this because he wanted to go to prom with Joey.
Yeah.
He freely admits that later when it comes to conflict. He admits that that's why he did it. Dawson's a narcissist. He's a narcissistic character. He cares only about himself. He's consumed with his own drama and his own feelings. He never sees anything that's happening outside of himself, and he's singularly focused on himself and his own wishes. And I've said it a million times, he has his head up his ass, because he does. He's just like all consumed with himself.
But wait, a real question here. Is that supposed to be the takeaway? Because it's Dawson's Creek. It's about Dawson. So are we supposed to sympathize with this fuck? Or, because I'm watching it, and he's the character that I feel the least sympathy for. Always, 100% of the time. And I just don't know are we supposed to sympathize with him? Are we supposed to be seeing the creek Cape Side through his eyes or what?
Well, so I've voiced this already a million times that I don't remember this show in high school. I don't remember watching it except for a few, there's top 3 things that I remember. But I can say that I really don't remember not liking Dawson as much as I'm not liking Dawson watching this show now. Yeah, he's a terrible character. Yeah, I'm not on his side, at all.
But the thing is, adults wrote this character. Even if they wrote it for teenagers, adults still wrote this shit.
I thought about this thing. I've thought about this myself, and I think it's just poor writing. I think that it's supposed to be about Dawson, so everything's from Dawson's perspective, so that we get a little peek on Dawson's inner workings, and Dawson's inner workings are super selfish.
Yeah, well, I also kind of think that they're making that they haven't, even though it's Dawson's Creek and it's supposed to, I guess, be from his perspective and it's about him and his life, they've kept him pretty one-dimensional as well. I feel like they're opening up Pacey's character more, for sure. I mean, Pacey's kind of actually always been a little bit more well-rounded as far as his character. Joey is, a little one-dimensional. Jen has, they've developed her character. They've turned her around and...
they've turned her around to be that bitch.
That boss bitch. And then Jack, as superficial as it may sound, making his character gay gave him a little bit more dimension.
And they were talking about something that was important.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But what the fuck were they doing with Dawson?
I mean, I just think Dawson has turned into just this, they just haven't developed him the way they have tried to develop the other characters more. They've kept him so one-dimensional.
I feel like all the other characters have had some real conflict. I mean, Dawson's only major conflict was his parents getting divorced, which gets semi-resolved, which we'll get to. But I don't think the writers did it on purpose. I think it's just how his character is.
I mean, I wish they did it on purpose.
I mean, if that's the case, then it is bad writing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's so gross to watch it as an adult. Oh, what the fuck? I would never have this person as my friend. Ever. We wouldn't be acquaintances even.
Yeah, and like I said before, all of my friends, when the 20th anniversary came around, all my friends were hashtagging Team Pacey, and now I get it. I'm like, yeah, totally Team Pacey. Team Pacey.
So I guess even as teenagers, you guys knew, even before you understood what a narcissist was, you guys were like, damn, this guy fucking sucks. You couldn't pinpoint exactly what it was, but you were like, Pacey's kind of cool. I am digging Pacey.
I think so.
Actually, Gutman, my friend, who listens to this podcast, hopefully will continue. She fucking loved Dawson's Creek, and she was like, I always loved Pacey. It's unanimous.
It sounds unanimous.
Everyone loves Pacey.
Yeah.
He's cool.
Yeah.
He's a little homophobic, but
only directed towards his own brother. Cause he's
for gags.
Because he's cool with Jack.
This is 2000.
He likes Jack.
Yeah, he loves Jack, so he's not homophobic. It's just
a dig at
makes
it's just a dig at his
homophobic jokes to his brother.
Yeah. Yeah. So everyone's at prom. Pacey and Andy do end up going to prom together. And of course there's major tension between Pacey and Dawson because they haven't kissed and made up yet. They're still fighting over Joey. So just for a quick recap.
So before they even get to prom, though, there's a fun little moment where Joey goes to Dawson's house and Dawson goes to Joey's house and she comes out in her prom dress and he's like, you look beautiful. Like that stereotypical shit that we've seen in every teenage movie and fucking show since we were teenagers, where the girl walks down some stairs in a spaghetti strap dress and she looks totally normal, but it's like, oh my God, oh, you look so beautiful. So she comes down the stairs and Joey's sister was like, did you get a corsage? And Dawson was like, no. Joey said, no corsages. It's like, yeah, because you're not dating. You're just going to prom together, you asshole. But Dawson also brings a pair of diamond earrings for Joey to wear to prom. And she opens them up and she's like, oh, are you sure I can have these? Because I don't feel comfortable. And he's like, well, they're on loan. They're my mom's. And he has this smug fucking look and he's like, you look beautiful in them. And she's like, oh. And I was thinking, what if she doesn't want to wear them? Like, what if they're not her style? What if she just is not into it? But she reluctantly puts on the earrings and they go to prom. I'm just bringing up this point because it comes up later.
Right.
So I had the same thought because I was like, she is conveniently wearing zero jewelry with her dress. And I was like, she doesn't have any earrings, bracelets, nothing.
Rings, she has one bracelet. And that comes up later too.
But
I mean, it's kind of
he like he gives her these earrings to wear, and I'm like, she's not wearing any earrings. But I mean men have done that to me too. They're like, I got you this necklace, and I'm like, oh great.
Ew.
Now I have to wear this shit.
Exactly.
I'm like, this is not my outfit at all.
It's like, oh, this is my mom's favorite necklace. And you're like, exactly. I don't want to fucking wear this to prom. Your mom's 40 years older than me. Why would I want to wear this?
I mean, it didn't surprise me that she wasn't wearing jewelry. I mean, Joey's a plain Jane type of girl. Like she doesn't get dolled up like that.
We have everyone there finally. Okay. So Joey shows up in the earrings that Dawson gave her, and we have the whole group. Every single couple is there at the table, except for Andy and Pacey, who have yet to arrive. So they walk in, and as soon as Joey sees Andy with Pacey, I wrote down that she put on her mope face. And I was like, just the double standard here. Like, it's okay for her to go with Dawson, and regardless of how that might affect the people around her. But now she's all fucking sad because she expected Pacey to just go by himself to the anti-prom. Is that what she was expecting?
She probably wasn't.
That's where we left off.
Yeah, she was probably not expecting to see him at all. Like she probably thought he just wasn't going to
Didn't expect him to not come.
Yeah.
So Joey ends up feeling a little guilty, and Dawson's off doing whatever. So Joey walks up to Pacey, who's sitting at the table, and she like taps him on the shoulder and extends a hand, and she's like, "Hey," and he's like, "Hey," because they haven't fucking spoken in months, and she's like, "I just wondering if maybe you want to dance," and he's like, "I'd love to." So then they're slow dancing, and as they're slow dancing, he's like, "This feels so right, doesn't it?" And she's like, "Yeah." Or maybe she didn't say yeah, but she's giving him yes eyes. You know what I mean? And then he mentioned something about her earrings.
Yeah.
And he's like, "These earrings don't really look like you know?" And she's like, "Oh, well, they're not, Dawson gave them to me. They're his mom's. It's like totally not my style." And then he goes, "This is more of your style." And this is the bracelet that she's wearing on her wrist. And she's like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "I remember everything about this bracelet." And he's like, "You got it." And then he recounts like the first moment that he saw her and his fucking bracelet, and how it's her dead mom's, and how she like found it one day and wore it to school. And she's like, "How did you remember that?" And he's like, "I remember everything.
'Cause I'm in fucking love with you, bitch."
Yeah, you dumb hoe. So as they're dancing, they're doing a turnaround, and she sees Joey sees Dawson in the corner, and Dawson catches them dancing, and then Andy's on the other side of the room, and Andy catches them dancing. And now it's like this big dramatic thing, and fucking Dawson runs off in a huff, and Pacey doesn't even see Dawson, but he feels that Joey has spotted Dawson.
Like
and then Joey runs off.
She stopped dancing because she was staring at Dawson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To the point, I know that was like a cheesy conversation where like Pacey is like, I pay attention and I realize all this stuff about you, but I kind of feel like the point is like, again, Dawson has his head up his own ass, so he's like, here's what I would like for you, here's what I think that you would look good in, here's what I think, here's what my mom does, like, just rather. And Pacey's expressing like, here's what I think that you like, to be more thoughtful, like, here's what's your style, here's I'm paying attention to what you like and what you appreciate. Dawson's only thinking about himself. Yeah. Dawson's just like, these earrings look good on my mom, so I bet they'll look good on like Joey too. Like this.
Ew.
Or he's like, how can I impress? Like, bitches love diamonds, right? So I'm gonna fucking give this bitch some diamonds. Like that's what his thought is. He's not like, oh, this, like, yeah, most women love diamond earrings, but Joey doesn't. Maybe I should figure out a better way to impress her. He's just like, bitches love diamonds. Here's some diamonds.
Yeah, well, it just goes back to the whole idea of Dawson being so one-dimensional, which is strange because Dawson and Joey are supposed to have known each other their entire lives. You would think that Dawson would know her better. But since Pacey's developed feelings for Joey, he is actually paying attention to her and actually learning her and understanding her.
Yeah, and let's go back to, in the midst of all this, there is the Jack and Ethan thing.
Yeah. Because
Jack is, like, really trying to be comfortable in his sexuality, but he doesn't feel comfortable because, like, all of his friends are around, and he's putting himself out there by being out among his peers. And Ethan can just show up and, like, push him to do this stuff with no repercussions because he can just go home and be however he presented himself to the world without worrying about it.
Yeah.
And they get into an argument about that. And there is one thing that Jack says real quick. In the midst of their argument, Jack's about to walk out and Ethan's like, where are you going? And Jack's like, I'm going to get a soda. And I just thought that line was really funny because he said it as if like, he were going to the bar to be like, I'm going to get a shot. But he's like, I'm going to get a soda.
And then he also like turns his soda choice into some sort of like statement on being gay. You know, like I can't remember what he says, but he's like something about Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi. Which ones do the gays drink, huh? You gonna teach me that?
Yeah. I was like, damn, Jack. Gotta calm down a little, bud.
Yeah. So Joey and Pacey are out on the dock or whatever, basically just hiding from everybody.
Joey and Jack.
Oh yeah, Joey and Jack. Whoever it is out there. And they're just kind of taking a break because there's so much drama going on inside. How do we get to the point where Dawson and Joey are out front because Dawson's like running away?
Yeah, I think I got it mixed up. So the argument happens between Joey and Dawson as they're dancing at the same time as the argument happens between Jack and Ethan. And then Joey runs out to the pier with Jack and they talk. And then Joey comes back in and dances with Pacey.
Oh, okay.
And Dawson sees it. And then Dawson runs away. And then Joey runs out. Then we come to their pier exchange.
Yeah. And so Dawson is just talking about how Joey needs to make a choice. She needs to make a choice. And Joey's like, I can't. You can't make me do that. I'm not ready. I can't. I don't know how I feel about anything. I just want everything to go back to normal. I'm
but
like,
he's
Joey.
Screaming. And I made a point to write down, if I ever had a friend scream at me the way that Dawson screams at Joey, that's the end of the friendship. What the fuck is his problem? He's always like screaming in public, screaming.
But then he kisses her. He's like, that's how the night should have ended. I'm like, ew.
Yeah, and then he runs off.
And then he
runs off. Her and then walks away. So she was like, "Oh, so all's forgiven." And then he's like, "That's how it should have ended," and walks away. So it wasn't a kiss; it was a passive aggressive gesture because he's an asshole.
Yeah,
he's an asshole. He was an asshole the whole fucking night. He manipulated her into going to prom. He manipulated her to wearing his mother's fucking earrings. And then he like manipulated his way onto her mouth. And then like manipulatively walked away, and she just like feels like shit about it because he's like, I'm Dawson, and I whatever I say goes, and if you're not on board, you know, like I decided at some point that we were going to be in a relationship, and then I decided that we were breaking up, and then I decided we were back together, and then I decided we weren't, and then I sent your dad to prison, and then
oh yeah, let's not forget that.
Let's not forget that little tidbit. And then I decided that we should just be friends. And now I've decided that we should be back together. And in the meantime, you were doing your own thing. How fucking dare you? You decided that you had feelings for someone else? Fuck you, bitch. You were in the wrong because I'm Dawson and everything that I say goes. And that I wanted you to sit quietly and wait for me. And you didn't. So you're a bitch.
Yeah, girl.
That's basically what has happened, and Joey feels really bad about it. And Dawson's an asshole.
Although I would argue that most adult men also act like Dawson as a teenager.
I don't disagree with that. God damn it.
So it's the end of the night. Joey's all alone because Dawson's run away from her.
He really did like stomp off on the cobblestone into the night.
Pacey and Andy like are kind of taking a little stroll or whatever. And Andy's trying to convince Pacey, like, you need to tell Joey how you feel. Because he's now announced, at least to Andy, that he has decided that his summer plans are going to be to take his boat and sail it down to Key West. So basically, like, he's running away. And Andy's like, you know, I know better than anyone that you've got to tell the person how you feel. You know, you can't run away, blah, blah, blah. So that gives Pacey something to think about for the next episode. We'll just point out really quickly, because obviously this whole episode, I think based on what we've talked about so far, this whole episode was all about Pacey, Dawson, and Joey, a little bit of Ethan and Jack, but Henry and Jen, of course, were in this episode. And at the end of their night, this is the moment that Henry decides to tell, or no, it was at prom, right? Where Henry decides,
like while they were like dancing or something.
Yeah, Henry decides to tell Jen that he's going to be gone at football camp for 8 weeks. And Jen gets all mad because she's like, you can't drop this on me when we're at prom and we're supposed to be having a good time. Like, you know, and then which she was kind of right. I mean, this is a high school relationship, so I thought she overreacted a little bit. But, you know, if we're supposed to take this relationship at all seriously as far as Dawson's Creek goes, like, I mean, it was kind of shitty that he didn't tell her, because she was right. Like, you didn't consider me at all when you decided to sign up for football camp. Like,
just tell me before now.
I wasn't anywhere in your decision to go. Like, you just went. You know, you're just going. So she gets really pissed. And at the end of the night, when they're at her front door, she, you know, well, and that's where she says the argument of, like, you know, I wasn't even a part of your decision making. And, you know, Henry's like, you know, he's like, I'm not going to apologize this time, or I'm not going to do any grand gestures like I did before. So if this is how you're going to leave things, then, you know, then this is goodbye. You know, like, he's decided that
you close that door, and this is goodbye.
So Jen,
and then she closed the door.
She was like, goodbye, Henry. And then closes the door.
Yeah,
I was like, okay.
She breaks up with him because he's going to football camp.
Which makes it very high school.
Yeah. I mean, and he's going to be gone for 8 weeks. So she was like, well, then this relationship is over because you're going to be gone for 8 weeks. I'm like, 8 weeks? Not that long, bitch. Get over it.
Well, that's not the point. She was thinking about all the things they were going to do over the summer together, and she was thinking about him. Meanwhile, he didn't think about her at all when he signed up for an 8-week football camp.
He's thinking about football. Typical. Again, how many parallels can we make to adult men and teenage men?
I mean, I guess I took it a little differently because I assumed my feeling was like football camp wasn't an option. Like, he's on a football team, so you go to football camp. The same way if you're a cheerleader, you go to cheerleading camp. If you're in band, you go to band camp. It's like not optional. Like, if you want to participate in that activity, you go to fucking camp over the summer. Like, that's just what you do.
Right.
So she just like wasn't aware. So you could also put it on her because she made all these plans for them. Like, yes, she was considering him, but she didn't tell him.
Right.
The same way he didn't tell her that he was like, oh, I'm on the football team, so I'm going to be away at football camp for 8 weeks.
And that's also true.
An obligation that I have as being a football player.
Right.
And she's like, but I had all these plans for us, and you didn't think about me once. And he was like, well, no, because I'm on a football team, and I have to go to football camp. I don't know.
No, that's very true. That is true of high school students, that if you're involved in some sort of extracurricular activity, and that if you do want to participate the next fall, then you need to do this camp or that camp, or you need to do this or do that over the summer break. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the experience that I had in high school. Yeah, when I was on the dance drill team, I had to go to drill team camp.
When I was on the nothing, I had to go home and do nothing.
Cindy, you didn't go to camp. You don't have your ears pierced.
I don't even know what camp means.
Dude, did you even
I never went to no damn camp.
Did you even have a childhood?
Yeah, what was your childhood?
My childhood was eating Donkey Kong, Mario 1, 2, and 3. Okay? Tell me if you didn't have that fucking childhood. I had a fucking childhood. What did you guys have?
I had horseback riding camp.
Yeah, in my high school, I did dance camp. I was also figure skating all the time, so I had that.
I also did Cool Ranch Dorito camp. And I'm really proud of that one, guys. Taught me a lot about myself.
What did you learn at Cool Ranch Dorito camp?
I learned that when you get through half a bag of the family-sized Cool Ranch Doritos, if you just really, you have to power through and you have to learn mind over matter. You can get through the whole bag if you put mind over matter. And that's what I learned.
I feel like I'm learning a lot about my friends during this podcast.
You are.
No ears pierced.
I thought you already knew.
I mean, I knew about the Doritos. I knew about your Dorito problem when you were a teenager.
I want to take a quick break.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're back. Season finale, you guys. Season finale of season 3. This one's called True.
And what a finale it was.
True Love. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now, but this is the meme episode. This is the famous Dawson Leery meme episode. And
you know it, the ugly cry.
The ugly cry meme episode.
Can I just say, I was the first to see it, okay? And I've seen this meme so many times that I've never watched the show. And when the scene came on, I was like, this looks really familiar. Why does this look familiar? And I was like, this is it.
The internet has made this familiar to everyone.
This is the meme though, but here's the other thing. We're about 1 year into the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I have like no existence. And so seeing this meme happen in real time was kind of like seeing a celebrity on the street, which hasn't happened in a really long time because everyone's in quarantine, and when they're out on the street, they're wearing face masks. So I could have seen like a dozen celebrities on the street at this point, and I don't know because they're wearing face masks. So it was exciting.
Yeah,
for no reason. It was exciting for no reason.
When
I was like, this is the moment that this meme is about. I just didn't know. I was like, why did Dawson ugly cry? And this became a meme.
Yeah, I don't remember this I mean, just like everything else, don't remember any of this. But when I saw this scene happening, I could see it from a mile away. As soon as they were out on that dock, and you had Dawson with the blurry green trees behind him, I was like, oh my God, it's happening. It's happening.
Oh my God, here we go.
Oh my God, it's happening.
And Victoria sent us a like screen cap as she was watching it. And she was like, oh my God, I just got to the ugly cry meme. Like, I'm here now. So I knew it was coming, and I was watching the whole episode, and I was just thinking about it the whole time. I'm like, when is it going to come? And for me, it wasn't like seeing a celebrity on the street. For me, it was like a roller coaster ride. And you're like latched in, and you're like, okay, I know this shit's going to get crazy. When is it coming? When is it coming? And then you do all the Dawson's Creek bullshit, up and down, emotional roller coaster, and then you get to the top, the very top. And I'm like, oh my God, it's going, there it is! But you know what? Just like a roller coaster ride, it lasts like 2 seconds.
Yes.
It's such a fleeting image.
Yeah, you're right. It is. I'm like, it's crazy that, just like you said, 2 seconds of screen time for this crying face, and the internet went crazy with it.
It was long enough to make the ugliest face you could possibly make.
Yeah.
And be able to capture it and then meme it.
And for it to become such a viral pop culture moment, that in the 20th anniversary episode, or like in the 20th anniversary interview that the whole cast had, I think it was brought up in this interview, and they were asking James Van Der Beek, like, how do you feel that your cry face became a meme? I mean, and
what did he say?
I mean, I can't remember. But I mean, he was probably kind of just like, I can't believe out of 6 seasons of Dawson's Creek that face is how people remember me.
Yeah, that's his legacy from this show.
That's his legacy, yeah.
But,
I mean,
but
look
also,
at that
like,
thing.
His character was such garbage, so, I don't want to talk ill of the actor, because the actor is different from the character. But the character so far has been garbage. So the character's legacy from this show is this fucking meme. This fucking cry face meme.
So it's on par then. I mean, it's on par that's the face that's the expression that people latched onto is their lasting impression of Dawson Leery. Is that face?
Let's talk about all of the plot points that lead up to the meme.
All right, so
lead up to the meme.
Season finale of season 3. It's called True Love. Mitch and Gail are getting remarried. Dawson is the best man. Joey's the maid of honor. And Pacey is still planning on setting sail down to Key West and running away from his broken heart.
Which, good for him. I think that's such a cool trip. And this was like a big theme throughout this episode. Everyone's questioning his leaving. And they're like, you're running away. Are you sure you want to do this? And I was like, go. Pacey, get out of here. That's totally how I would respond. This sounds so awesome. Every time he talked about it, I was like, this is so cool.
But also, parents are like, okay, you're 16 or 17, however old you are. You can take this boat that you refurbished yourself that is questionably seaworthy and sail it from North Carolina all the way down to the Florida Keys.
I'm not saying that it is reasonable, rational, or would happen anywhere outside of Dawson's Creek. But in Dawson Creek world, that's really cool.
Also, his dad's a dick. His dad was probably like, yes, please leave for the summer so I don't have to
Yeah, well, yeah, his
take
dad
care
and
of
his
you.
brother are both dicks.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
I mean,
yeah,
his
okay,
brother.
okay, Pacey, fuck off. We
His
don't
brother's
care.
turning
You guys see
around.
you're a loser anyways.
His brother's turning around a little bit. They've softened the relationship between Pacey and Doug, where they actually have like conversations now about real things.
And then again in this episode of the last one, when Pacey was like, "I'm gonna sail down to Florida," he was like, "Have you told Joey how you feel?" And he was like, "Well, yeah, but," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, yes, motherfucker, that's what this whole thing is about." He's told her how. Everybody in this episode is like, "Tell Joey how you feel. Tell Joey how you feel. Don't take this trip until you tell Joey how you feel." Hasn't he fucking done that already? Hasn't he told her like a million times? And she's just like, "I'm not sure because of Dawson. I gotta figure out shit with Dawson before I can agree to this."
Time to go to Key West. Bye.
Bye, girl, bye.
Yeah. No, exactly. Like, his brother does like 3 180s on him because he's like, "Tell her, don't tell her. Tell her, don't tell her." And then everybody else is like, "Tell her how you feel." And he's like, "I've already told everybody how I feel."
Also, can we put this into perspective? It's summer break. They're all going to reconvene in the fall. It's not like everyone's parting ways. He can go on a fucking trip over summer break and then come back and discuss it. This isn't like the end of the world.
But when you're in high school, it feels like the end of the world.
Yeah, like in teenage time. I mean, the same way that Jen freaked out on Henry because he was going to football camp for 8 weeks. To her, she was like, "Well, then this relationship is over because you're going to be gone for 8 weeks."
Yeah.
8 weeks. You know what kind of fucking break I want from my relationship for 8 weeks? I would love it.
Whoa!
Damn. Like, just give me some space.
Give me 8 weeks of space, God. Can't you sail to Key West already? Fuck. Isn't there a football camp you can sign up for? God.
But to a teenager, 8 weeks or like summer, whatever, however long Pacey's going on his little boat trip, that might as well be forever. And like everybody makes a big deal about it. You're running away. Joey's like, "If you leave, it's forever." And
yeah, she was like screaming at him. I made a note of how condescending she was, and she was like yelling at him. And really, the whole time, all I could think about was how awesome of an experience this would have. I mean, this would be for him to get out and just go be alone and fucking bang some broads at some docks on the East Coast along the way.
What?
Well, he's not sailing from Cape Side all the way down to the Key West in one go. He's gonna have to like dock the sailboat and like get some food and maybe like a shower, and then maybe you can like meet some chicks.
He's gonna have to go to some gas station for boats along the way.
Yeah.
So obviously this whole episode, the cliffhanger throughout this whole episode is whether or not Pacey and Joey are gonna end up together. So Pacey's kind of having a little going away party thing. So everyone except for Dawson and Joey are there. Even Grams is there. She's like oddly supervising or something.
I know. I wrote down like, what kind of going away party is this? You got this is the lamest going away peer picnic I've ever seen. Like, I thought it was going to be a good party, and then it was just like the 6 of them and Grams, and it's like everyone bitching about being single. And then I wrote down, the best thing about this going away party was the bag of Pepperidge Farm cookies that was on the picnic table. That was like the best part of it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the fact that they were all eating crabs. They were having like a crab.
They weren't eating.
Yeah, they were, because Jen talked about how she just chipped a tooth on a crab shell or something.
Oh, you're right. But I didn't see any crabs.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing. Coming from Baltimore, I hear stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, yeah. I mean, if you try to break a crab claw with your teeth, you're going to chip one. But I didn't actually see any crabs on the table, so I didn't even, like, think about that.
Yeah. Yeah, they were
That's such common conversation.
They were having a crab boil or whatever. So, I mean, the Grams was there as like the wise old sage to talk about her past love experiences and how, you should never give up, or don't have any regrets when it comes to love. And she tells them this like super cheesy story of when she was in a hospital working as a nurse, and the boy with the most beautiful blue eyes comes in, and he's leaving.
And what's his name? Did anyone take down his name?
Thomas Culpepper?
Yes. What are these writers coming up with? Like the names that they come up with. Thomas Culpepper.
I mean, this is a cheesy 90s teen drama. Let's not forget that. So the writing is cheesy 90s teen drama.
Shouldn't it be more romantic than that, though?
Cheesy AF. She talks about, like I said, the guy with the most beautiful blue eyes in the world walks in, and they have a lovely one-day affair, and he's, being shipped off to war, I think. And she's describing this one day with him and how this boy leans in, and she says something like, I mean, I'm not even explaining it right, but basically, like, she didn't kiss him. And, the next day she starts regretting it. And so she runs off and Where does she fly? She's like, after 7...
San Diego, because that's where the Navy... I think he was in the Navy.
Oh, okay. After 7 turbulent hours in a propeller plane, I found him and I gave him that kiss. And Jen automatically assumes that this is Gramps, or whatever they called him. And she's like,
I didn't know Gramps was in the Korean War.
And she's like, oh, it wasn't your grandfather.
It was Thomas Culpepper.
Why does Gramps speak like this?
She has that, like...
Have we talked about this before?
Yeah, doesn't she have that, like, transatlantic, like, early, or, like, 40s, 50s transatlantic accent that older actresses used to use or have or whatever?
Just like, I don't know what you mean. It was Thomas Culpepper.
So, like, everyone at the table, because they're all lonely, broken hearts. Jen and Henry haven't made up yet. Pacey, we all know Pacey's ish. Jack and Ethan didn't end on good terms after the anti-prom, and Andy's just there. So they're all like, oh, I see what you're saying, Grams. I see what you're saying. So they're all driving away from the going away party. And Jen's getting really upset that she ended things with Henry, and the way, I guess the way that she acted or whatever. And Grams, like a fucking crazy person, like busts a U-turn, running into trash cans and up over the curbs and shit. And they try to find Henry. Like, he's already on a bus on his way to football camp, and they hunt him down, basically.
Can I point out, I don't know where football camp is, but they left the going away party after the sun had set. It was nighttime.
It was dark at this going away party, right?
They all of them are driving in this car overnight, and they get to football camp the next day. So Grams has been driving overnight, or for at least like 6 hours.
Yeah.
And they're all just, Grams didn't like bring this up to anyone. You have Jack and Andy in the back seat, and Grams is like, fuck this shit. And she drives without warning or asking anyone how they feel about this. She drives for like 8 hours overnight.
So she basically
So she kidnaps them.
Yeah, she basically kidnaps a bunch of teenagers so that she can drive them in search of another teenager.
And they're all cool with it. And the next shot is when it's like 8 a.m. or something, and they all have coffee. And they're all like pounding coffee to stay awake.
Yeah.
What is this?
This also means that like the fucking Greyhound bus full of football campers has also been driving overnight. Like they left at night, or she's just like speeding down the highway at like 100 miles an hour to catch up with a bus that left early the next day. And
yeah, because they
also,
like all just got there. The football.
Yeah, but they weren't even. They weren't at camp yet.
I don't think they were at camp yet. They were at like a rest stop.
They were at a rest stop. So they weren't even there yet. They had just like stopped for like provisions and like toilet break. So like the football campers were also driving overnight. Where the fuck is this football camp? Because I don't know about the camp that Melissa went to, but mine was just like, I don't know, 4 hours away, and it wasn't even a school camp. But
you want to know the cool thing about the Cool Ranch camp?
it was like in France, right?
It was like 5 steps from my bedroom.
Oh.
Yeah.
It wasn't like European Cool Ranch Dorito camp.
Yeah, my dance camp was actually like 10 minutes away because it was at the local university in my like neighborhood. So I didn't have to go far for my camp either. Yeah, so they somehow find the bus.
And Jen hops out and she's like, Henry! And then she tries to run into the men's room and like some like pushes
someone out of the way.
Some like grown man is like, no, bitch, what are you doing? And she's like, Henry. And then she finally finds him and she's like, I'm sorry. And I never should have broken up with you. And I know that I talked about sex on prom night, but even though I've like had a bunch of sex, this is the first time that I was going to have sex with somebody that I cared about. So in that way, I'm just as much of a virgin as you.
And she says this around everyone with all of his football team members listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're all like snickering because they're like, oh, Henry's a virgin.
So they make up or whatever. They then encourage Jack to profess his feelings to Ethan. So they run up to Boston at whatever university he's at. And
wherever they were at the football
somewhere
camp,
between Cape Side and Boston.
Yeah.
Then they get back on the road. They've already been driving for like 8 hours. Let's not forget that.
I kept thinking that Cape Side was in North Carolina because that's where the show is actually filmed. But it actually takes place in New England. So Pacey was not sailing from North Carolina to the Florida Keys. He was sailing from Massachusetts to the Florida Keys, which is an insane trip for a teenager to take on a very questionably seaworthy little boat by himself. Okay?
But he had it. No. Pacey has the skills, and it is going to be an awesome trip, and the idea is awesome.
I will say this. I do know someone who has taken that trip before. Multiple times.
They were probably an adult, though.
They were
and they're probably an experienced sailor. And they had a better boat than Pacey does.
Yeah,
although like, Pacey is an experienced sailor.
He would have won that race if it weren't for Dawson being an asshole.
Pacey knew what he was doing the whole time.
Yeah. Dawson didn't know how to sail at all.
I'm not comparing Pacey to Dawson. I'm comparing Pacey to the world. Back to Jack and his... They drive him up to Boston.
Let's please not forget. However far out of the way they went, it was probably about 8 hours to get to... What's his name?
Henry.
Okay. So now they have to backtrack to go find Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So how long was that fucking duration?
A commercial break.
The sun... Yeah. Because when they found Ethan, it looked like it was about noon.
Yeah, it was like afternoonish time.
But it took them 8 hours to get to Henry, give or take.
Yeah, he was still en route to football camp.
And he was
which
still
apparently was like 20 hours away from his hometown, which is like crazy.
It's like on the West Coast, I guess.
Yeah, they were just like driving to California for a football camp. No big deal. So they show up at Ethan's college, and he just happens to find him sitting at like a concrete picnic table on like the quad.
Yeah.
With some other dude.
And Ethan is there with some other dude.
And like runs up to Ethan. Ethan, I gotta do what I always meant to do and I didn't do before. and like just fucking lays into him, like starts like making out with him. Meanwhile, there's like a dude sitting at the table.
Hold on. We have to mark this moment because this is the moment where all of America, all the teenagers of America are seeing for the very first time in primetime television 2 men kiss. This is like one of the biggest moments in Dawson's Creek history, in Dawson's Creek lore, is this first gay kiss in primetime television. I just have to mark that real quick. And in watching
it's pretty cool.
Well, what's crazy is that in watching it now, it was really kind of anticlimactic. You know, like the way that I remember it when I was in high school, the way that I remember it is I thought it happened at prom. I thought I had this clear picture of Jack having his first kiss. I don't remember Ethan, but I just had this clear picture in my head that I thought they were wearing dark jackets, you know, and that I knew that it took place in public, kind of in an open space, which is how it turned out this time, you know, or in this episode. But I just thought it was more of an event and that there were more people around to witness this, that it would, you know, and that's obviously remembering that incorrectly, that it just happened and that it happened so fast because it was such a big deal. I remember it being talked about afterwards, not like just amongst my friends, but like in the news or like in entertainment news, that it was a big deal for this to have happened. And so the way that it happened, now that I'm watching it, I guess again, or, you know, I guess actually for the first time, that it's really just, it just happened so fast. And with not a lot of fanfare, at least in the episode.
It didn't go well.
And it didn't go well.
He kisses him, and then Ethan like stops it short, and he was like, no. And then sitting there at the table watching this whole thing is Ethan's like ex, who he's gotten back together with. And the ex is very gracious. He's like, I'm going to walk away and you guys sort this out.
Can you imagine?
He is very gracious.
If you were like with your boyfriend and someone runs up and just kisses them right in front of you.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm doing what I've always wanted. I've been too chicken shit to do. I love you. And like, and you're like, that's my boyfriend. I'm going to leave it up to him to do the right thing. And I'll see you later.
You're right. So Ethan's boyfriend's name is Brad. Brad is very, very gracious. You are absolutely right. I don't see that playing out that way in real life.
Or with any of the other characters on the show.
Right.
He's the only one who is like, there's an obvious misunderstanding here, and I'm going to be very understanding about it and just give you guys privacy. And
it's like the antithesis of Dawson.
I mean, maybe to give the writers a little credit is that they were like, we're not going to turn this into drama in that way, you know, that we need to keep this about Ethan, or we need to really keep it about Jack, and Jack just becoming more and more comfortable in being in his own skin, and, you know, figuring out how, as a gay man, he's going to be able to exist and feel some sense of normalcy or whatever. So, I mean, I guess that's why they just said, all right, Brad, you're really just going to be a periphery. You're going to be on the periphery for this, and we're not going to give your character any much development at all, really, because we just got to keep it on Jack. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that the result is that he is a very gracious boyfriend, understanding boyfriend. So Jack, of course, is like totally heartbroken. I felt so bad for him. And then correct me if I'm wrong, but so is the next thing that we kind of see, or like one of the next few scenes after that, is Jack coming home and his dad is like working on some car part in the kitchen.
Yes. And Jack's like, no thanks, I'm having some crisis right now. I don't care about the car part that you're working on in the kitchen counter. Where's mom? Oh wait, she's having a breakdown, or she might be dead, we're not sure. but she wouldn't approve
We still
of
don't
you.
know.
We still don't know, but she definitely wouldn't approve of you working on your greasy car part in the kitchen counter. But yeah, he's like, not right now, not a good time. And he was like, oh, wait, what's wrong? Are you okay? And he's like, you don't want to hear about it. And he's like, well, try me. And he's like, well, I went to Boston and I made out with a guy that I love and he rejected me because he's got another boyfriend. And his dad just like,
yeah, his dad backs up a little bit, and I'm like, oh God, please don't. I'm like, don't do this to Jack. Don't do this to Jack. But I mean, I was a little. I was a little like iffy on his dad's reaction because, I mean, they're trying to get his father to try, and understand Jack and I don't know, just accept the fact that he's gay.
His dad does say something like, I'm proud to have a gay son.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Well, because Jack is like, you never wanted a gay son. And his
dad's like, you're right. He basically was like, you're right. I never wanted a gay son, but boy, am I ever proud to have one.
Yeah.
Or it was something like that.
Right. Yeah. He said something like that. And so I was like, okay, so they tried a little bit, I guess. The writers did,
But I guess they were trying to show that, like, his dad is still struggling with it, but trying to accept it. So he can't do a 180 and just be like, oh, I'm sorry that your guy that you like doesn't like you back. And also, I'm proud of you for being you. Like, it's just like...
There has to be some sort of transition.
Right.
Yeah, like his dad
he was such an asshole.
Too. Yeah, because you can't just go from being like a complete homophobic piece of shit to like a totally like P-flag dad.
I was gonna say,
there's gotta be some
president of your local P-flag. Exactly.
Yeah, there's gotta be some transition in there. So he's grappling, and then.
But then he does get down on like one knee because Jack collapses on the kitchen floor and he's like sobbing and shit. And then his dad is like, oh, it's real. So then his dad gets down on like one knee to embrace him. And the only takeaway from that scene that I had was that, God damn, his dad was wearing like stereotypical dad jeans. I couldn't stop looking at his dad jeans. I was like, you are a dad.
I have to admit, I did not notice the dad jeans. I was more concentrating on how the writers were approaching this as far as like how they were going to I guess transition or develop that relationship between father and son.
Well, he tries. He does like a little embrace. He puts Jack's head in his chest.
Yeah.
And he like shows off his dad jeans.
Yes. Apparently shows off his dad jeans. So while all this is going on, Joey and Dawson are at Dawson's parents'. Did they officially get divorced? Are they basically just renewing their vows?
Yeah, I was confused about this too.
No, I think they officially were divorced, so now they're officially getting remarried.
Okay.
Within the span of a year? So they filed and signed divorce papers, and then it's been a year, right?
Yeah. It seems like a colossal waste of money to me, but that's just my perspective.
All right. Okay. So we'll say that they were officially divorced, so now they are getting remarried. And this is where, so they get married, whatever, good for them. But this is where the meme moment happens. This whole time, Dawson is noticing that Joey is really detached from the whole ceremony, the whole thing. Like, she clearly doesn't want to be there. There's one moment where she does seem engaged, and that's when Dawson's giving his best man speech. And he says some shit about love beginning again, and that somehow pings in her brain or whatever. Pacey shows up at the wedding for
looking cool. by the way.
In a he's wearing like a Tommy Bahama Hawaiian shirt with a.
I thought he looked fucking cool with a khaki
weird blazer over
on top.
It. Yeah, I'm like, he went all out to get dressed up for this wedding.
But listen, he's about to set sail and be free. He's going to Key West, bro. This is just like his vibe now.
Yeah. So I guess before the best man speech, Dawson and Joey are dancing, and Joey is trying to pretend how a great summer they're gonna have and all these fun things that they can do together. And I mean, I'm kind of like, Joey, you're kind of leading Dawson on here. Like, what are you talking about? Spending all this time with him when you really don't want to be with him, like,
or around him.
Like he's clearly told her that he wants to be more than friends, and she has not in the best way communicated that all she wants to do is be friends with him and quote unquote go back to the way things were, before.
And here's another problem with like how Dawson is speaking to her. So he keeps saying he's okay with being friends, but then he keeps saying, I'll wait for you to like be in love with me and want to be in a relationship. And Can you imagine, like, as a woman, to hear this from a dude? That means you're not friends. That means this dude is just being a fucking creep and sitting around and waiting for you. He doesn't actually care. He's just waiting.
Yeah.
That's so disgusting.
Agreed.
It bothered me the entire time. That's not a friend. That's a goddamn creep.
Yeah, no, he's made it clear, like, he wants to get back together with her.
So Pacey's there, and her and him and Joey kind of see each other at the wedding, and Pacey's like, you just gotta make a choice, man. It's pretty simple. Just make a choice. Yeah. Just make a choice. And Joey says something to the effect of like, I can't make a choice. I just can't. And Pacey's like, all right, well, that, in essence, that is basically your decision. You've chosen. You're not choosing me, so that in and of itself is your choice. And then Dawson comes up and makes some like snide asshole comment about the three of them or whatever. And Joey's like, I'm going to remove myself from this situation.
Yeah, and then she's like, give me that disposable camera, please.
I'm going to take some pictures. And Dawson is just outright mean to Pacey. And Pacey's like, hey, I'm just here for your parents, man. We've known each other for this long. Your family's... I mean, he's basically saying, like, your family's my family, so I'm just here for your parents. And then he's like, well, looks like you got what you wanted. She chose you. Congratulations. I'm setting sail to Key West tomorrow. Bye.
Setting sail to the Atlantic Ocean. You'll never see me again until August 2028.
You won't see me for 8 whole weeks. The whole time that Henry's gone at football camp, I'll be in Key West or Lost at Sea.
Or Lost at Sea.
So at some point, though, I don't know if it happens before. I think it happens before the wedding.
Okay.
Joey does come clean to Dawson, and she tells him straight up. She was like she pretty much tells him, the only reason that I am not with Pacey is because you are a dick about it. She tells him that.
You're right. I think that's before. I think that is before the wedding. I think that's like the rehearsal or something.
Right. So that's good on her. That's the first time that she has pretty much stood up to Dawson, and she was like, look, I respect you, and I respect our friendship, and I respect our history, and I value that, and I don't want to lose that, and the only reason that I did not choose Pacey is because
of you.
Because of you, because you have forbade it, and because I want to still be friends with you. And so that's in the back of his head, but that's like the first moment of realization in his head, I think, for this whole show, that people exist outside of his spheres, outside of his existence. So she's got this sense of loyalty to him. She just tells him, she was like, I'll be loyal to you, however, whatever that looks like. But the reason that I'm not with him is because of your attitude.
Yeah.
And that is the first fucking moment of decency that Dawson has, which ironically is the source of this meme. So after the wedding, the two of them are like sitting on the fucking pier on the creek having a heart-to-heart, and he lets her go like a little butterfly. Like he gives her permission.
Yeah.
Which is also gross. It grossed me out.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. It's disgusting. But
it grossed me out because of her character. The fact that she didn't already make this decision. The fact that she was waiting for their friendship to be okay. For her to do what she wanted to do. The whole time.
Yeah.
So he sets her free.
I love how we're talking about Dawson's Creek right now.
This was what Melissa asked us to do, so we're doing it.
Did Melissa also ask us to wear makeup inspired,
Andy inspired
You're
look?
Kissing ass, Cindy. You're just trying to win points.
I won a lot.
You did.
You won a lot of points. You did win a lot of points tonight. I didn't do any extracurricular activities other than point out the Dawson meme. I'm proud of that.
So the meme happens.
Yeah, so Dawson decides to set Joey free and tells her, like, she should follow her heart and do what she wants.
And he's like, I've held you back. I just feel like in the past I held you back from going to Paris.
He did hold her back from going to Paris.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He also sent her father to prison.
This is Victoria's one thing that she can't let go.
She can't.
Right there with you.
She can't.
Sorry. If the guy that I was interested in sent my father to prison, I don't know, that might be a deal breaker. It might be a deal breaker. So anyways, so he sets her free and she was like, oh, okay, cool, bye. And like gets up and runs away. And then he has this ugly cry, and that's the meme.
The ugly cry meme.
And it's like 2 seconds of bliss watching him ugly cry.
It's so good, though.
Yes.
You're like, oh, Dawson, you're having a moment where you realize that the people around you are real and have feelings, too, and you're regretting all your actions?
For some reason, because I never watched this show, so I've seen the meme. And just based on the screenshot of the meme, I thought this cry went on for a while. I thought it was like a long, dramatic thing. It goes by like that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I can't believe that 2 seconds of this expression is the lasting impression, or like we said before, his lasting legacy of this entire show.
I mean, it is really, really ugly.
It is.
It is a really ugly cry.
I mean, that face has been turned into mugs and magnets and greeting cards. I mean, that meme face is everywhere, yo. Everywhere.
I feel bad for James Vanderbeek.
I feel like he was trying to do a really good job of like acting and like really show some like
some range,
inner pain.
Yeah.
And instead he just made a really ugly face and everybody just latched onto it.
Why wasn't the director like, dude, in like 10 to 15 years, this is going to be a problem for you? So maybe turn it down like
in 15 years, there's going to be a thing called the internet, and then there's going to be these little like joke squares called memes, and you're going to be the biggest butt of one of them, so you should make a different face.
Dial it back.
So Joey runs off, and just as Joey's running off, we have to point this out because it comes back. So as Joey's running off, Grams and the 3 teenagers she's just kidnapped have all come back, and Jen is getting out of the car and notices Joey running away, and then looks over and sees Dawson collapsing down onto the pier in tears. So she knows something's up. So Joey's running, and what confused me a little bit is she's running so furiously to catch up to Pacey to make sure she doesn't miss him, and yet she has time to change her clothes. I would have assumed that she would have just shown up in the dress that she was wearing at the wedding. But no, she was running with all...
This is a very, very good point.
This goes
back to my timing issues from the whole episode.
She was running with all her... Hold on a second. She was running with all her might to go find Pacey before he set sail. And yet she takes the time to go home and change into some jeans and a flowy tunic blouse.
But then I thought that because he wasn't supposed to leave until the next day.
Oh, really?
Not the day of the reception, because he told Dawson. Because Dawson was like, aren't you supposed to be getting the fuck out of here? And Pacey was like, actually, sir, it's not until tomorrow. So then I'm thinking, did Joey furiously run in her kitten heel sandals back to the bed and breakfast, and then go to sleep, and then change and furiously run to the pier the next day?
She's like, I have to get home now and get 8 hours of sleep in a shower, and then I'm going to resume.
And then I'm going to get up and run again.
Because he wasn't leaving until the next day.
Maybe what we didn't see on screen was that someone was like, no, he's not leaving till tomorrow. And Joey was like, oh, okay, good. I have time to rest and change and stuff. But the crazy part is that she gets up and runs again. Why? She knows when he's leaving now. So why is she
out of bed?
So why is she still
overslept?
Why is she still running the next morning?
It's so confusing.
And she gets there, she's like, Pacey, 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 Pacey. And he's like, what do you want, bitch?
But then also, Jen's gang gets to the reception. So have they been on the road for 3 days?
No, this is why it doesn't work, because it is the same day. It is the same day, and Pacey is just probably on his boat, just gathering things up, making sure everything's all set for the next morning, still with no intention to leave until the next morning. But Joey doesn't really know that. She doesn't know exactly when Pacey's leaving. No, but when
Joey gets to the dock, he's like, no. He's like, I'm leaving in T-minus 5 minutes or whatever.
All right, so then
that's
it's
what
clear.
He says to her.
He's okay, like, well then
is Pacey still wearing his wedding outfit, or did he change his outfit too?
That's a good question.
I don't remember taking note of that. I mean, Joey's wardrobe change was so dramatic that I took note of hers, but that's the thing too. It's when the whole gang shows up in Dawson's bedroom, he's just coming up from the wedding.
Right.
That's when
they've all changed clothes.
Yeah, and snuck into his room and got all settled in, and they're like, surprise, we're here to throw you a pity party because you fucking deserve it, asshole.
I mean, the whole point is that the writing sucks.
The timeline is so confusing.
It's so off. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense that Joey's gonna run away from the wedding in her maid of honor dress, go home and change, and then continue to run to find Pacey. That's a lot of time wasted changing your clothes, you know?
She was on the other side of the creek, so she has to get in a boat and row home and change her clothes and then row back over.
Yeah. That's just really shitty writing. I mean, no consistency there at all, because we're all supposed to assume that this all takes place within the day.
Yeah, within the same day. But she does. She shows up there, and she's like, Pacey, 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 Pacey. And he's like, what the fuck do you want?
What did she say? What did Joey say?
Pacey, 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 Pacey.
That's exactly how she said it.
That's going to be my new text message alert for you.
So she gets there, and he's like, what do you want? And she's like, And he's like, what, you come to say goodbye? Too late. Well, and he's like, she's like, I think I'm in love with you. And he was like,
You
think or
think?
you know?
You think you're in
And
love
I'm
with
like,
me?
oh, it's so aggressive. You guys haven't even banged yet. So, like, everybody just relax. But she was like, I know I'm in love with you. And he was like, great, hop on board. I don't care if you just changed into your jeans. I hope you have on fresh underwear because you don't get to change them for the next 90 days. And then they sail away.
I mean, pretty much. But
it was her idea to go on the trip. Pacey was like stunned.
Yeah, exactly.
He was
and
like,
I was,
what?
As soon as she did it, she was like, she did that little demure, little mousy thing that her character does all the time. And she's like, I love you. And I think I want to go with you. But as soon as she said it, I was like, yes, bitch. Yes, get on that boat. Go take a fun trip. Get out of Cape Side. This is going to be so exciting. And then my very next thought was,
is this the one thing that the
does
one
she have
time?
Clothes?
Is this the one time where you like Joey? Where
Yes,
she makes this
it was the first
impulsive decision
that she's ever made.
Yeah.
But then they just leave, and I thought for sure Pacey would be like, wow, this is fucking awesome. Go row back to your house or run back or whatever you did and get some gear, and we'll leave. But they leave that moment.
Because he was like, oh, the next stop is like 3 to 5 days from now. And she was like, oh, okay.
Ew.
But I was like, and as I sail away, I was like, the bitch does not have any change of underwear or any tampons.
Toothbrush,
so good luck.
Tampons.
All these things.
I was like, they're sailing all the way to the Florida Keys, and she did not pack one tampon, not one. And I'm like, no, you cannot get on a sailing trip with. You guys are gonna die.
This is the problem. This is the problem when you have 3 late 30s, early 40s women watching a teen drama. It's about the romance, you guys. It's just so romantic.
No, it's about
romance between
tampons.
2 16-year-olds.
Yes. Romantically sailing off like they're young and in love. Who cares about tampons and toothbrushes?
I mean,
what about
in a couple of
condoms?
days.
Yeah, condoms in case you want to bang. Come on.
Now they get to spend a romantic summer together with no underwear and
no toothbrushes.
No toothbrushes.
No soap.
No soap. No provisions. Nothing. Just the beat of their own 2 hearts together out on the sea.
Gross.
Wow.
Gross. So that's how season 3 ends, you guys, with Pacey and Joey sailing off into the sunset together.
All right, so Pacey and Joey are finally together, and we finally did it. We watched this whole fucking season. We did it. Yay.
Yay. Let's pat ourselves
Only
on the
took
back.
months and months and months.
Should we do our send-off?
Yeah, we'll do our send-off. Guys, we did it. We completed season 3. Congratulations to all of us, to all of you.
What do I win?
The privilege of having watched 80 episodes of season 3 of Dawson's Creek.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Now you're just that much wiser.
Yeah. Your life has been so enriched by watching all this Dawson's Creek. I think I did this last season when we ended season 2, so I'll end it this way again to say thank you for putting in all this time and effort to watch season 3 with me. We're halfway through the show. I know that this is a huge undertaking, but we're halfway through the show. Just 3 more seasons to go, okay? Our website is basicteentvpodcast.com. Our Instagram is @basicteentv. We're on Apple and Spotify. Leave us a rating and review. So, for the final send-off, at least for a little while, I'm Melissa.
I'm Victoria.
I'm Cindy.
And we're Basic Teen TV. Bye!
Bye!
Yay! Good job, guys.
Why are we standing?